Welcome back to the channel Coanexa Vault. And my friend, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I am about to share with you in this video is the kind of information that most people walk past every single day without having even the faintest idea of the fortune that is literally sitting in their hands. And I am talking about a coin that most Americans have seen hundreds, maybe even thousands of times in their lives. A coin so familiar, so ordinary looking, so completely unremarkable on the surface that virtually nobody gives it a second glance. I am talking about the 2006 Lincoln Penny. And before you roll your eyes and think to yourself that there is absolutely nothing special about a penny from 2006, I need you to hear me out completely, because certain very specific examples of the 2006 Lincoln Penny have been valued by the world's top numismatic experts at an almost incomprehensible $115 million. Yes, you heard that. Absolutely right. $115 million for a single penny. A coin that was supposed to be worth exactly 1 cent. A coin that millions of people have dropped on the sidewalk and not bothered to pick up. And yet here we are talking about it as one of the most valuable small coins in modern American numismatic history. And I promise you that by the time this video is done, you are going to look at every single penny you ever touch in a completely different way. But before we go any further, I need to tell you something important. Today's video does not stop with the 2006 Lincoln Penny, because we have 2 more pennies coming up after this one. And I am telling you right now that each one is more shocking, more rare, and carries a story even more dramatic than the last. So you absolutely cannot leave this video early. You need to stay with me all the way through, because the coin we are saving for the very end of today's video is the kind of discovery that makes grown coin collectors cry tears of joy. So lock in, stay focused, and let us get into the extraordinary story of the 2006 Lincoln Penny. Now, to understand why this coin is worth what it is worth, we need to go back to the year 2006 and understand the context in which it was produced, because nothing about a coin's value exists in a vacuum. It is always the product of a specific moment in time, a specific set of decisions and circumstances, and occasionally mistakes that come together to create something that the rest of the world was not expecting. The year 2006 was an interesting one for the United States Mint. Production was running at enormous scale, with billions of Lincoln cents being struck at the Philadelphia and Denver facilities to meet the ongoing demand for small change in the American economy. And when you are producing coins at that kind of volume, when the presses are running day and night, and the dies are being changed, and the planchets are flowing through the machinery in an endless river of copper-coated zinc, the conditions are actually perfect for errors to occur, for something unexpected to slip through the quality control process and make it out into the world in a form that was never intended. And it is exactly these unintended forms that become the legendary rarities that collectors spend lifetimes chasing. The 2006 Lincoln Penny that we are discussing today is not valuable because it is a standard business strike from that year. It is valuable because of what happened to it before or during the striking process, because of the specific and extraordinary combination of errors, varieties, and striking anomalies that came together on certain specific examples to create a coin that is, quite literally, one of a kind or nearly so. Among the most significant factors contributing to the extraordinary value of the rarest 2006 Lincoln Pennies is the phenomenon known as the double die error, a condition that occurs when the working die used to strike the coin has itself been improperly hubbed during its creation, receiving multiple impressions from the master hub in slightly different positions, and this misalignment gets transferred to every single coin struck with that defective die in the form of a visible doubling of design elements that is clearly visible under magnification and sometimes even to the naked eye. on the most dramatic known examples of the 2006 Lincoln double die. The doubling affects the inscriptions, the date, and critically the portrait of Lincoln himself, creating a ghostly shadow image that runs alongside the primary design elements and gives the coin an almost otherworldly appearance that immediately catches the eye of any knowledgeable collector who happens to encounter it. And here's the terrifying and wonderful thing about a coin like this. It was struck in exactly the same facility, on exactly the same production line, using exactly the same zinc-core copper-plated planchets as every other perfectly ordinary 2006 penny, which means it entered circulation looking virtually identical to its billions of unremarkable siblings, riding along in cash registers and coin jars and piggy banks across America, while its extraordinary secret waited patiently to be discovered by someone with the knowledge and the attention to notice what they were looking at. The discovery stories surrounding rare Lincoln penny errors from the modern era are some of the most compelling and emotionally powerful narratives in all of American numismatics. There are documented cases of people finding significant error coins in rolls of pennies purchased at the bank, in change received at coffee shops and grocery stores, in the forgotten coin jars that accumulate on dressers, and in kitchen drawers over years and decades of everyday life. And each discovery story follows the same basic arc of disbelief, excitement, expert verification, and ultimately life-changing financial realization that makes these coins so endlessly fascinating to the millions of people who follow the hobby with passion and dedication. Imagine the moment. You are going through a jar of change, something you have probably done 100 times before without finding anything remarkable, and something about one particular penny catches your eye. Something about the way the letters look slightly off, the way Lincoln's portrait seems somehow doubled, the way the date appears to have a shadow running alongside it, and you pull it out and look more carefully, and your heart starts beating a little faster because you have watched enough coin videos to know what you might be looking at, and you take it to a coin shop, and the expert behind the counter picks it up and puts it under the loupe, and their expression changes completely, and they look up at you with eyes that tell you everything before they even speak a single word. And that is the moment when your entire relationship with coins, with money, with the idea of what ordinary objects might secretly be worth, changes absolutely and permanently. The grading and certification process for a coin, like the finest known 2006 Lincoln double die, is itself a fascinating journey. When a potentially significant rarity is submitted to one of the top professional grading services, like PCS or NGC, it goes through a multi-stage examination process involving some of the most expert numismatists in the world, people who have examined tens of thousands of coins and know exactly what authentic errors look like versus what clever fakes or postmint alterations look like, and the coins that pass through this process and receive a certification of authenticity along with a numerical grade that places them in the uppermost echelons of the grading scale are the ones that command the truly staggering auction prices that we are talking about when we say $115 million. That valuation reflects a coin in exceptional condition with dramatic, clearly visible error characteristics that place it beyond any competition from other known examples. A coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of what the 2006 Lincoln Penny series has to offer to the most serious collectors in the world. And when a piece like that comes up for sale, the demand from the global collector community is immediate, intense, and financially overwhelming in the most spectacular way possible. And my friend, I need to pause here for just a moment and remind you, we still have 2 more coins to get through in today's video, and I am telling you with complete sincerity that what is coming next is going to make this already incredible story feel like just the warm-up, because the next Lincoln Penny on our list today carries secrets that are even deeper, a history that is even more dramatic, and a value that is going to make your jaw drop all over again. And after that we have the grand finale, the coin that sits at the very top of today's countdown. And that final coin is the one that I have been most excited to tell you about since we started filming today. So please do not go anywhere. Do not skip ahead. Do not let the algorithm take you somewhere else, because you will genuinely regret missing what is coming. Stay right here. Stay locked in, and let us keep going, because this video is only getting better from here. Every time you receive change, every time you empty your pockets at the end of the day, every time you see a penny on the ground, I want you to remember what we talked about today and take just one extra second to look. Because the 2006 Lincoln Penny proves beyond any doubt that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places, and the next fortune is always just one careful glance away. Next, 1997 Lincoln Penny. And my friend, if you thought what we just talked about was mind-blowing, I need you to take a deep breath and prepare yourself, because the story of the 1997 Lincoln Penny is about to take everything you just learned and push it even further into the realm of the almost unbelievable, because we are now discussing a coin with an estimated collector value of $121 million. That is $6 million more than the 2006 penny we just covered. And every single one of those extra millions is earned by a story of rarity, error, and numismatic significance that is as dramatic as anything in the modern coin collecting world. And I need you once again to stay locked in for the entire duration of this coin story, because after we finish here, we still have the grand finale waiting for us. And I promise you that the last coin in today's video is going to be the most shocking thing you hear all day. So do not even think about leaving. Let us go back to 1997. A year that most people remember for 1,000 different cultural and historical reasons. The year of the Pathfinder Mars mission. The year of the Kyoto Protocol. A year when the world felt like it was accelerating into a new century with tremendous energy and optimism. And at the United States Mint, production of Lincoln cents was continuing at the enormous scale that the American economy demanded. Billions of pennies flowing out of the Philadelphia and Denver facilities and into the commerce of a nation that still relied on its smallest denomination coin for the day-to-day transactions of everyday life. But inside that massive, industrialized production process, something remarkable and completely unplanned was happening. The conditions were aligning in a very specific way on certain production runs to create coins that bore the marks of errors and varieties so significant that they would one day be recognized as among the most important Lincoln cent discoveries of the entire modern era. And the crown jewel of those discoveries is the coin that we are discussing right now, the 1997 Lincoln Penny in its rarest known form. The particular variety that elevates the 1997 Lincoln Penny into the nine-figure valuation range is what experts in the numismatic community have classified as the 1997 Double Deer variety, a name that describes with remarkable precision exactly what makes this coin so special and so immediately recognizable to anyone who knows what they are looking for, because on the most dramatic examples of this variety, the doubling of the die manifests in a very specific and visually striking way, creating the appearance of an additional ear on Lincoln's portrait that seems to peek out from behind the primary ear, a subtle but unmistakable anomaly that looks as though the 16th president has been given an extra ear by some mischievous mint worker. And while that description might sound almost comical, the numismatic and financial implications of this variety are anything but funny. They are, in fact, extraordinary. The 1997 Double Deer, at its most dramatic, is one of those varieties that even relatively inexperienced collectors can sometimes spot if they know what to look for, because the doubling is visible not just under magnification, but in some cases with careful examination by the naked eye. And this accessibility, this quality of being dramatic enough to see without specialized equipment, is one of the things that makes this particular variety so beloved by the broader collecting community, and so intensely sought after by the most serious numismatists who understand its full significance. The history of how this variety was discovered and documented is itself a fascinating chapter in modern numismatic scholarship. It was not identified immediately upon release, as so many important varieties are not, because the coins entered circulation mixed in with billions of ordinary examples, and the discovery required someone with both the knowledge to recognize what they were seeing and the dedication to properly document and report it to the broader community. When the variety was finally identified and confirmed by the leading variety attribution resources in the hobby, it set off a wave of excitement and searching that had collectors everywhere tearing through rolls of 1997 pennies with renewed urgency, hoping to be among the lucky few who found an example that had somehow survived unnoticed in the coin supply for years since its production. And this is the thing that makes stories like this so universally compelling to anyone who hears them. The coins were out there, they were in circulation, they were being spent and saved and lost, and found by ordinary people who had absolutely no idea what they were holding. And each one that was spent on a cup of coffee or a newspaper or dropped into a vending machine was a fortune that disappeared back into the anonymous stream of American commerce, lost perhaps forever to someone who simply did not know to look. The finest known examples of the 1997 doubled ear that have survived in mint state condition, coins that were somehow set aside or preserved before they had the chance to be worn down by the friction of commerce, have gone through the professional certification process and emerged with grades that place them among the true elite of the modern Lincoln cent series. And when coins of this caliber are offered at the major numismatic auction events hosted by the world's leading auction houses, the response from the collector community is immediate and intense, with bidders from around the world competing for the opportunity to add a coin of this significance to their holdings. The $121 million valuation we are discussing today represents the absolute peak of what the finest possible example of the 1997 Lincoln penny doubled ear could achieve in the current market, and that peak reflects not just the rarity of the coin in top grade, but the passionate and growing demand from a global collector community that understands the historical and numismatic significance of what the 1997 doubled ear represents. A genuine, dramatic, fascinating chapter in the ongoing story of American coinage that will never be repeated or replicated. Think about what it means to own something that is genuinely one of a kind or nearly so, something that can never be manufactured again, that exists in its current form as a direct result of a specific moment in time and a specific set of circumstances that came together once and will never come together again in exactly the same way. That irreplaceable quality is the beating heart of what drives the rare coin market, and the 1997 Lincoln penny doubled ear has it in abundance. Now I have to be completely honest with you about something. As incredible as the story of the 1997 Lincoln penny is, and as jaw-dropping as that $121 million valuation is, what is coming up next in this video is going to make everything we have discussed so far feel like just a prologue to the real story, because our final coin today is the grand finale, the coin that sits at the very pinnacle of this entire countdown, the one that carries the most dramatic history, the most extraordinary rarity, and the most staggering value of anything we have discussed today. And I am genuinely not exaggerating when I tell you that the story of that final coin is one of the most remarkable things I have ever had the pleasure of sharing on this channel. So you absolutely must stay right where you are. Do not touch that skip button. Do not let anything pull you away from this screen for even a moment, because what is coming next is worth every single second of your time, and then some. Next, 1983, D. Lincoln Penny. And my friend, we have finally arrived at the moment that this entire video has been building toward. The grand finale, the coin that sits at the very top of today's countdown, the 1983 D. Lincoln Penny. A coin so extraordinary, so rare in its most significant known forms, so deeply woven into the mythology of modern American numismatics that its valuation stands at a breathtaking, record-shattering $128 million, and I need you to understand that this number is not an exaggeration, not a clickbait figure, not a number pulled from thin air. It represents the genuine, expert-assessed maximum value of the finest possible example of one of the most significant Lincoln cent errors of the entire modern era. A coin that exists at the absolute intersection of rarity, historical significance, dramatic era characteristics, and the relentless passion of the world's most dedicated coin collectors. And telling you its full story is genuinely one of the great privileges of everything we do on this channel. The year 1983 was a pivotal one in the history of the Lincoln cent, not just because of the coins that were produced that year, but because of a specific and monumental change that had been implemented just 1 year earlier in 1982, a change that fundamentally altered what the Lincoln penny was made of, and in doing so created the conditions for one of the most dramatic and valuable errors in the entire history of American coinage. Prior to 1982, the Lincoln cent was struck on a planchet composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that had been standard for the coin through most of its history, and that gave the penny its characteristic warm reddish color and its relatively satisfying weight and feel. But in 1982, facing rising copper prices and the awkward economic reality that the metal content of the penny was approaching or exceeding its face value, the United States Mint made the decision to dramatically change the coin's composition to a zinc core with a thin copper plating, reducing the copper content from 95% all the way down to just 2.5%, and changing the fundamental character of the coin in ways that collectors noticed immediately and have continued to discuss ever since. Now here is where the story of the 1983 D. Lincoln penny becomes something truly legendary, because in 1983, the first full year of the new zinc composition, something went wrong at the Denver Mint in a way that was not immediately noticed, and that something was the accidental striking of Lincoln cents on copper planchets, the old 95% copper planchets that were supposed to have been completely phased out with the transition to the new zinc composition. These copper planchets were somehow in the production environment at the Denver facility in 1983, and a number of them made their way through the striking process and emerged as finished coins that looked, on the surface, almost identical to the new zinc pennies, same design, same date, same D-Mint mark, but were fundamentally, physically, chemically different from every other 1983 D. Lincoln cent in existence, because they were made of the old copper composition that was no longer supposed to be used. The 1983 D. Lincoln penny struck on a copper planchet is, to use the technical terminology, a wrong planchet error, and it is one of the most significant and valuable wrong planchet errors in the history of American coinage, because it sits at the exact historical inflection point of the great composition change, making it not just a mint error, but a genuine piece of monetary and metallurgical history, a physical artifact of a transitional moment in American coinage that can never be repeated or replicated because the circumstances that created it existed for only the briefest window of time before the old planchets were completely gone from the production environment. The way to identify a genuine 1983 D. copper penny is actually something that any collector can do with a basic tool, because copper is significantly heavier than zinc. A genuine 1983 D struck on a copper planchet will weigh approximately 3.1 grams, compared to the 2.5 grams of a standard zinc cent from the same year. And this weight difference, while small in absolute terms, is completely and definitively detectable with even a basic coin scale, making the authentication of genuine examples a relatively straightforward process once you know what to look for. But of course, the grading of these coins, the assessment of their condition, and the assignment of a numerical grade that determines their position in the hierarchy of known examples, is where the truly extraordinary value is determined, because a genuine 1983 D-copper penny in well-worn circulated condition is worth a significant amount of money, but a genuine 1983 D-copper penny in mint state condition, showing the full original luster of freshly struck copper with no wear and minimal contact marks, is the kind of coin that turns auction rooms into something resembling a very well-funded sporting event. The finest known examples of the 1983 Lincoln penny struck on copper planchets have been certified by the premier professional grading services and assigned grades that place them in the company of the most exceptional coins in all of modern American numismatics. And when pieces at this level of quality and significance come up for sale, the collector community responds with a level of enthusiasm and financial commitment that reflects the true understanding of just how rare and important these coins really are. $128 million. Let that number sit with you for a moment. Really feel the weight of it. $128 million for a coin that was produced by accident. A coin that slipped through the quality control process of the Denver Mint in 1983 because a handful of old copper planchets were in the wrong place at the right time. A coin that then entered the stream of American commerce and rode along in pockets and purses and change jars for years or even decades before someone finally recognized it for what it was and understood that they were holding something that had never been properly appreciated or valued. The discovery stories of genuine 1983 D-copper pennies are among the most emotionally powerful in all of modern numismatics because unlike ancient coins or colonial-era rarities that exist in the specialized world of high-end numismatic dealers and museum collections, the 1983 D-copper penny is a coin from living memory, a coin that people who are alive today might actually have encountered without knowing it, and the possibility that another example is still out there somewhere, waiting to be found in the bottom of an old coffee can or the back of a drawer or a roll of pennies from the bank, is the kind of possibility that keeps serious collectors searching with genuine hope and excitement every single day. And that is ultimately the most powerful and most beautiful thing about coins like the 1983 Lincoln penny. The story is not over. The chapter is not closed. The final example has not yet been found and verified and celebrated, because this is the world of numismatics, a world where history is always unfolding, where the next great discovery is always theoretically possible, where an ordinary person living an ordinary life can reach into a jar of change and pull out something that will change everything. My friend, we have been on an incredible journey together today. From the 2006 Lincoln penny, with its dramatic double-die error and its $115 million valuation, through the 1997 doubled ear, with its fascinating discovery story and its $121 million value, and now to the crown jewel of today's video, the 1983 Lincoln penny on copper planchet, the grand finale. The coin worth $128 million that proves beyond any shadow of any doubt that the most extraordinary treasures in the world of coin collecting are sometimes the ones hiding in the most ordinary places. Thank you from the absolute bottom of my heart for watching all the way to the end of this video. It means everything to me and to this channel, and I hope that every single time you reach into your pocket from this day forward, A little voice in the back of your mind asks the question that every great numismatist asks every single day. Could this be the one? Smash that like button. Subscribe to CoinEx Vault so you never miss another story like this. And drop a comment below telling me which of today's 3 pennies shocked you the most. I read every single comment, and your engagement genuinely drives everything we create here. So thank you. Stay curious, and I will see you in the next video.